Hello students, in today's lecture we are starting with this new subject of civics. In this subject you must have heard about the various components of this subject and what exactly do we study in it. It is very interesting. A, because it deals with our daily life and activities. What kind of government is having? Will Modi win in 2019? What are the reforms he has brought? Were they any successful? All these questions we discuss in this question or in the syllabus of civics. Hence, this is very contemporary, very relevant, very important subject. Now, when we are starting with this subject, I would say it is our duty to first understand the basis of this subject. When I'm talking about civics, the first thing I want to mention, I want to talk about the base of the subject. The base of the subject of civics we deal is the base of the Constitution. When we talk about Constitution, we are talking about the supreme law of our land. Constitution is known as the supreme law because of Constitution that we are having all the administration, all the political, all the social changes in the country. Now, the question emerged. The Constitution has been formed as a supreme body. It is supreme and ultimate, and all the laws in the country are laid or mentioned in it. Sometimes when the laws are not mentioned in the articles, then an amendment has been done in order to include more roles and more laws in the Constitution. What does that mean? Whenever any law of importance or any act of importance come and you see that Constitution is not suffice to mention it, then a new amendment carried out by people of Lok Sabha Parliament, you can say, is done so that a new law is there that would lead to the continuous moving of the country. When I'm talking about it, that clearly signifies and shows what is the importance of this term and what is the importance of this document. Already being told that it is the ultimate document, it is the supreme document. This document actually came into force on 26 January 1950. However, the preamble and the other elements of the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, were already constructed by the body of Constituent Assembly. This is the body which actually led to the formation of Constitution. You know, Constitution is a huge document. It is very huge document. Why? Because the Indian Constitution, you will be surprised, is the lengthiest Constitution. The time when we began in the Constitution making, or there were so many scholars and so many philosophers who were involved in making the Constitution of our country, the supreme law of the country, and the reasons why they were doing it. Post-independence, 1947, we needed a document that could govern the country. You see, Constitution is the document from where people, we the people, you can say the common mass, take their force or take their sanction or authority from. It is not supreme because India is a democratic country. All the orders are formed as acts. You can say there are acts, there are laws, there are articles in the Constitution, and implementation of all of these is the function of the government which is ruling the country. But the question comes, why we are talking about Constitution? What is the need? Constitution is the document which is governing us, A, to begin with. But Constitution was formed by Constituent Assembly, as I told you. Why Constituent Assembly actually came into the picture? Just a brief background is important for you guys. Constituent Assembly was formed in 1946, November. And this was formed, why? Because Cabinet Mission, which was there in India, actually came to India to mention that if India was ready to form a government of its own, to form a government where it's the Indians who are ruling themselves, a government of Indians, you can say. And then post it, what happened, that Indians also started discussing. People like M.N. Roy, Jawaharlal Nehru, these are all freedom fighters. Jawaharlal Nehru was our first Prime Minister. All of them started discussing the need to have a supreme law, or you can say a supreme document which can rule and govern the country provided that does not become absolute. Why? Because we, the people of the country, believe in democratic principles, and this is mentioned in our constitution, the supreme book that we are talking about. Hence, supreme book has to be found, but its beginning and how actually it came into the picture started since the time of 1930s, I would say, when people started discussing it. However, the practical implementation could only happen in 46. After the cabinet mission showed some interest in India can form the government, M.N. Roy Jawaharlal Nehru took this opportunity and started discussing making of Constituent Assembly, which we will read separately what it is exactly. But right now, because we are talking about Constitution, a brief idea about why suddenly Constitution, why it has to come to picture. All these questions need to be answered. Hence, the supreme document had an history. So, after the cabinet mission, after M.N. Roy Nehru discussion, an assembly was found, and finally this assembly did a lot of process. It took almost 3 years to make this huge document which we call the Indian Constitution. Now this document, after getting established in it was formed completely during 26 November 1949. But in 1950, it got completely placed. So 26 January is the enforcement period of Constitution, and hence 26 January 1950 we got established with a Constitution. That point in time, we started with this new book. We Indians started getting governed by this new book. But what does Constitution contain? If the question is, what does it contain? This is Supreme Book, of course. So many people like Nehru, Roy, and you cannot miss on Dr. Ambedkar. All these people accumulated themselves with many more to form this book completely so that Indians can be governed by it. But what does it contain? What is this book all about? That's the curiosity. This book contains principles now are how to govern people. So that is very important, which is mentioned in this particular document. Other than that, what are the rights, the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties are also mentioned in the Constitution. What will be the political government like? Is it a democratic structure? Is it a dictatorial structure? All these things are mentioned in the Constitution. What are the people that they should look forward to the Constitution? Why they should follow the Constitution? This is because Constitution believes in giving liberty, justice, fraternity to the people of our country. So people should look forward to it. Also, there is many procedures which explain extra constitutional bodies. Extra bodies like Election Commission, the famous commission you can say which is involved in the election process, and many such bodies like UPSC, State Public Commission. Also, the various directive principles. These are the directive principles which are there in the Constitution. So all these processes and all these important things are mentioned in the Constitution. Because of these things clearly mentioned in the Constitution, hence it makes our Constitution the lengthiest Constitution. At the same time, we are the ones who are implementing these things just to make and do justice to the people who created this Constitution. So if you see right now in our Constitution, we are having 448 articles and 12 schedules. This is the right now status of our Constitution, the supreme law of our land, which is composed of so many articles clearly defining everything, and 12 schedules explaining everything to the people, also to the government, in order to avoid confusion. That is the basis and that is the introduction to the idea of Constitution in India. This calls end to this lecture. See you for the next lecture.